Hi guys! Today I'm going to talk to you about online scams and frauds and credit card fraud, which I was a victim of last week. And I mean, it's not something I normally would ever talk about or do a video like this, but I experienced it myself last week, and I felt like I did a lot of research on how to avoid this from happening again. And I'm someone who is really savvy. I use my credit card for everything. And I just felt like if it can happen to someone like me, it can pretty much happen to anyone. And this video, might help some of you, which is why I thought I'd do it. So here's a little backstory. I was right here in the same place shooting last week. And usually when I shoot with my phone, I kind of put my phone on airplane mode to avoid interruptions in between. And that is what was happening. And then about I think half an hour later, when I put on my phone while I was after shooting, you get all your messages and like all your notifications from everywhere together. So obviously, I didn't really think that there was anything suspicious because suddenly there were lots of messages coming in and all of that. And I had some water, sat down to check my messages and stuff like that, and it had been about um, an hour now since obviously the fraud had occurred, because I was shooting for some time and then I started looking at my messages. And then I started seeing all these messages from my bank with transactions from here, there, like transactions on some gaming site, this site, that site. And what was shocking was that the payments were made in Japanese yen. And I was like, this is weird. Like, I haven't done this. And I called my bank immediately and spoke to the customer service, and they helped me with it and said, yeah, this is definitely fraud. If you haven't made these transactions, there's about like 9-10 transactions in the last like 1 hour, 2 hours. And I was like, no, this is definitely not me. And because I caught it so early and I called them, they were able to stop the payments, which was really great. And I saved myself from filing a police report and all of that. And I just had to they blocked my card and I got a new card in a few days. So there were a few things that I followed which made the whole process really easy, which is why I thought I'd share this with you and give you guys tips on how to avoid online scams and frauds. Okay, first thing is use a credit card and not your debit card. I know right now everything has gone digital, which is really important, and it's really good as well, because with the pandemic, everybody's trying to stay home and, use digital means to buy their groceries or shop or whatever, everything is digital. I'm someone who's been using my credit card for years. Like, I've been a fan of credit cards since I was in my early 20s. And I just love the way, it works, the rewards. I'm someone who uses my credit card a lot, like more than any other form of banking. The reason why I advocate using your credit cards online as opposed to your debit card is, so in my situation, just rewind back. If I was using my debit card at this point on these sites, and however the hackers got my details through whatever hacking, if they had access to my debit card instead of my credit card, the money, the 3 lakh, nearly whatever totaled up to, would have gone out of my actual bank account, and I would have to file a police report. I would have to keep following up with the banks to get that money back. With my credit card, however, even if I didn't stop it in time, like even if I called the bank maybe 5 hours later and they said, oh, the payments have gone, you have to file a police report, all of that, I would have still not lost the money, because with a credit card, you also have to pay that bill every month, like the monthly statement. If there are false transactions and you've made a claim that this is not by you, you obviously don't have to pay that. So you don't really lose your own money. In the system, yes, it's on your name and all of that. But the point is, it doesn't go out of your actual bank account. So I would say, for your safety, if you're transacting online, use a credit card. It's much safer. Number 2, activate alerts on your spends. Now, I am someone who hates this. I positively hate that the bank messages me for every little thing, because, as I said, I use my credit card like maybe 4 or 5 times a day. So my credit card is used across the board for my groceries, for big purchases, hospital bills, hotel stays, plane tickets, anything basically. Like 99% of my purchases are made through my credit card. So I keep getting alerts from the bank, which at times can be annoying because you're like, oh God, not another one. Okay, yeah, I know all those OTPs and all of those things that you keep getting. But it really saves you. So in this situation, I got totally saved because I got those messages and I could alert my bank to the fraud and say this is not done by me. And they said, okay, someone's probably hacked your details from some site or somewhere that you've used your card, and I could stop it. So alerts are really important. Otherwise, you wait till your monthly statement to know that something has gone wrong, and by then the money is already gone, and then you have to, it's a whole process. Set daily spending limits. Now, this is something new I learned. I didn't know this was an option. Most of the banks now with their credit cards, if you have their apps, download the apps, and the apps give you the option to manage your cards. And you can actually have choose your daily spend amount on your credit card or on your debit card. You can actually even keep changing that as you need it, which is great because someone like me, actually, I use my card a lot, and I sometimes use it for big purchases as well, right? So I wouldn't really want to keep a small limit of like 10,000, 20,000 because I would make a big purchase also on my credit card if I needed to. But if you're someone who doesn't do that, if you're someone who would never do that, like if your maximum purchases are, whatever, 20,000, 30,000, set that as a daily limit so that if there's any kind of fraud, it cannot cross that. And I think you can do this with your debit cards as well. I think that's a really, really cool feature to have, and it can really prevent things, especially for older people. I feel like my parents' generation does not know what is happening with digital online banking. Okay, people are scared. Even when they withdraw money, like they don't remember their passwords, or they tell random people their ATM pin and all of that. And it can be really scary. So I think that this is a great option, even if you're doing it for someone who's older, like your parents or anyone who has a card who asks you for help, and you do this for them, because I don't think they have really big spends on their cards. So it's something you can do definitely to prevent fraud. The next feature that you have on all these apps is also to cancel international and domestic transactions. Like there are two tabs, you can actually cancel those transactions. So for example, if you're someone who doesn't usually use international sites, you don't need international transactions unless you're traveling there. So at a point like this, like if, for example, on my dad's card, he would not buy anything on an international site right now, and he's definitely not going abroad. So it would be wiser to cancel that, and he wouldn't face something that I face because there's no need for him to use international sites. But someone like me that uses international sites, sadly, I can't really use that feature. But if you're someone that doesn't, totally just hit that button and stop those transactions, because most times I think fraud is international and it's like in different currencies, and you have at least they bounce it off different servers and things like that. So that, which is why obviously mine was also in Japanese yen. So yeah, if you're someone that doesn't need international transactions, you should totally block that unless you're traveling. Now, this next one is something I'm guilty of doing as well. Don't save your card details on lots of websites. I do this a lot for convenience because it gets really annoying to keep typing all your details in every time. But that is probably how the hackers got my details, through some site or the others, what the bank tells me. And I used to be like a serial credit card saver, everywhere I'd be like save, 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 save. And it was just easier, you just put your CVV, the 3-digit thing in the back, and that was it. And it would be really easy to kind of use everywhere. But that is something that can do you in, which eventually got me also after all these years. But I know it's convenient, but I would avoid it, especially at a time like right now, because there is a lot of hacking going on, and you hear of this every day, like someone or the other is telling me this. Like in my circle alone, I've heard of 3 or 4 people that this has happened to. So obviously it's very common right now. So right now, at least avoid saving, your card details. Also, just don't save it on sites that you don't trust or wouldn't use regularly, right? I guess it's okay if you want to save it on for your groceries and things like that, which you really genuinely are going to order all the time from. But I don't think you need to save it on a shopping retailer for fashion or something that you use once every few months. Like that you can type. So avoid saving your card details on sites. Now, this next point is really, really important. Be aware if your passwords have been compromised. Now, when you save your passwords as well on your Google Chrome or on whatever browser that you're using, it will tell you sometimes that some of your passwords have been compromised. So don't ignore those alerts, change those passwords. Or if you feel there's any suspicious activity, this is also happening a lot with a lot of Apple IDs and Apple devices from what I hear. And the day after this happened to me with my card, I did wake up to a weird alert on my MacBook also that said something, enter a security server. It was kind of like someone was trying to remotely operate my MacBook from what I saw. I can't be sure. But the first thing I did was change my Apple ID passwords from another device, and obviously not that device, because if they had remote access, you wanted to kind of not show them what you're doing. And changed all my passwords to all my, major platforms really quickly. Because I realized that something is off. You will always feel like something is off. You'll get odd alerts about your security, or when you get those device notifications of so-and-so has signed on, like a device like this iPad has signed into your Facebook ID, and you don't have an iPad, then you know that something is wrong and you want to kind of like stop that. So change your passwords. Do not ever ignore those alerts. And also, as I said, your browsers, if you save your passwords, make sure you kind of, keep checking on those. If they're compromised passwords, you want to actually change those and update them as well. Okay, the next one is the most important. Do not waste time in contacting your bank. Okay, this is the most important thing. Every credit card or debit card will have a number on your card that says in case of loss or helpline or whatever. You want to save those numbers on your phone right now. So that's what I do every time I get a new card. The first thing I do is I save those numbers on my phone, because when you don't have your card very often, you don't know who to call then, and then you're randomly googling numbers, and then you don't have the right helpline number. And sometimes what they do is there are even these phishing sites that they pay to get the Google rating of like a Citibank or an Axis or whatever, and they use that number and they take your details, and like it goes into further fraud is what I've heard, which is even scarier. So the reason why I learned this was, so when I was in law school, I remember you're not allowed to take your bags into like the exam center, right? Like when we were giving our law exams. And one time when I was, I never used to carry my wallet. I would only carry like cash and like put it in my pocket because we were allowed. But it was the last day of the exams and we were going to go out after that. So that was the only day I got my wallet, and I had to leave it outside because the teacher wouldn't let me leave it on my desk, even though there was nothing in it. It was just cards and my, like money. But then someone stole my wallet from the bag, which was outside the classroom. And the minute I finished my exam and I went out, I didn't realize, right? Because obviously that's not the first thing you would check. Went down and I was about to take a cab to wherever we were going. And that's when I realized that my wallet was not in my bag. And my friends were like, are you sure you brought it? This, that. And I was like, yeah, I brought it deliberately because it's the last day and all of that. So yeah, even though I knew I didn't have the bank number, and then I was constantly trying to Google numbers, and I was in this tizzy for about half an hour till I got home. And then I had to look up for the bank's number and call them and all of that. And that's when I realized that this is really stupid of me, because when you lose your card, you're never going to have your card in front of you to call the bank. So you should save those numbers on your phone when you have the card, so that in case of an emergency, you have it and you just call. So that habit has always stuck with me now. So the minute this happened, first call was to the bank, and I called them, and immediately they were like, oh, thank God you called so quickly, because the money hasn't gone yet. So we can stop it, as I said in the beginning of the video. And I didn't have to file a police complaint, none of that, because if the money had gone, if like I had called them after 5 hours, for example, and they had paid the other bank, I would have to file a police report, and then they would have to recover that money, obviously, because it was fraud. But because I did it really quickly, didn't have to do that. And it saved me a lot of trouble. Like imagine in the middle of a pandemic, having to go to a police station, filing a report about this and all of that. Like, you just don't want to get into that, right? Like, especially for no fault of yours, where I've not even lost my card. My card is right here in front of me, but like, I don't know where these transactions have happened from. So that's something that really, really helps. So the first thing you want to do today is take out all your cards, save the numbers for the bank helplines on your phone. And if, God forbid, you're ever in a situation like this, call your bank immediately, block that card, block those payments. Next one, do not click on websites in your email. I know like every few days, like I get these random emails, right? Like, okay, you've won 1 crore rupees. Click on this link to claim your money. You have won from, Coca-Cola, from this one, from that one, or we get those SMSs saying click on this link, enter your bank details. Do not do that, guys. Also, very often there are suspicious links from your bank. Like it'll say a bank name is sending you this, like click on this for your account statement or things like that, and it'll say enter your details and all that. They are all like fake manipulated sites a lot of the time. So do not click on links from banks unless you're 100% sure that this is from the bank website, or if you've initiated that link click, like if you've asked for it from the bank for whatever reason, then use those links. But otherwise, do not click any links that come in on your like messages on your email. They could be dangerous. Next thing, do not give your bank account details to anyone, okay? Like on a phone call or whatever, like banks don't call you asking for these details ever. Like they will never say, can you give me your card number? Can you, like it's all enter, enter, enter. Like even if you call a bank helpline, it will say, enter your card details, press hash, or, enter your TPIN number. Everybody has their own pins. Do not give bank employees your PIN numbers ever. Like I see this happens to a lot of older people where they get a new debit card, they go into the branch and then they're like, I don't know how to use this, can you come to the ATM with me? This has happened numerous times. I have seen older people with branch employees holding their pin in their hand and showing them and setting a new pin while a guy is watching you. That is very, 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 very dangerous. Do not give anybody your PIN unless you trust them, unless it's like someone who's really close to you. Whether it's your ATM card, credit card, debit card, do not give anyone your details. The other thing you want to do is also don't let your card out of your sight ever, because someone can note down those details and save them, right? Like when you make online transactions, you basically need the card number, the expiration date, and you need the CVV and the name which is on the back. Now, if, for example, when you go to a restaurant and the guy takes your card to the billing desk and you're not watching, he can note down or just take 2 pictures of the front and back of your card and make online transactions with those details if you're not careful. So you want to not let your card out of your sight. Like go to the place, make the payment in front of your eyes, or get the person to get the machine to you. Do not let your card out of your sight, and do not give anybody your bank account details, your debit card details, your credit card details, any banking details. Okay, last tip, do not send your passwords digitally to people also, guys. Whenever you're entering, like, I know this happens a lot, like between couples or like parents and kids or siblings. Like today, suddenly I want to buy something, or Weber wants me to buy something for him and he says use my card, and I'm not with him and he actually sends me those details on WhatsApp. That is very dangerous, because you don't know what is being watched or hacked. If you've watched this Social Dilemma, you know that everything is being watched digitally, okay? So don't share your passwords. It could even be your password to a particular site. What happens is, like when you say, I'll give you an example. So for example, if I say my card details are saved on Amazon, like I have my card on Amazon, right? And I give my Amazon password to someone else via some like WhatsApp, and my WhatsApp is hacked. The person has access then to my Amazon account because they've got my Amazon password. And if my card is saved on my Amazon account, then they can access that as well. So any kind of password giving digitally, do not do it, because you're being watched somewhere by someone. And if they want to misuse your password and your details, that can, escalate and going to result in fraud, result in transactions that you didn't make, all of that. So guys, that's it from me. I know this is a kind of a heavy topic. It's not something that's fun and bubbly and exciting, but it happened to me and I thought it could happen to any of you. So I thought I'd do a video with the tips that I learned to help any of you. If you have older people in your family, you have people who are not very savvy with online banking, please share this video with them, because I feel like it will help them. And yeah, this is just to help you guys, and I hope it does help you. So guys, I hope you found the video helpful. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Also comment below with any more tips you have to prevent hacking, online scams, any of that. It can help everybody that's watching this video, and let's continue the chat in the comments. See you guys. Bye.